Hi, and welcome to the Bookish Stitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. I hope you can find me as Bookish Stitcher on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads. I hope you've had a great couple weeks since I last podcasted. You can tell I'm completely out of practice because I just forgot the intro to the podcast. But it has been 2 weeks since I podcasted because as I posted in the Ravelry group and on Instagram last Sunday, I had a terrible migraine and it lasted for days and I just couldn't podcast it. It would have been me in the dark room whispering at you, and it would have been more of a creepy podcast than a fun knitting podcast. But I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone on Instagram and in the Ravelry group and people who sent me messages on Ravelry saying that they hope I was feeling better. It was just very sweet of you guys, and I just love our community and how kind and wonderful everyone is. And I am still getting back to Ravelry messages. It's one of those things that when I get a whole bunch at once, I kind of get overwhelmed, and then it takes me a little while to respond back. So I'm slowly making my way through the last couple weeks, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I really appreciated that. I'm having some hot cocoa today in my Christmas mugs. As you can probably see behind me, our house is fully decorated. We're on the ball this year. We're not normally, but the outside is decorated, and we sat and watched a movie together as a family last night, and then today we decorated the inside. And normally it's last minute, and we're decorating the outside, and we don't even decorate as much as we like. We just throw up a couple things because it's getting so late. But yeah, it all worked out really well this year, and I hope everyone who celebrated Thanksgiving this past week had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We drove down to Houston, and I got to have my whole family got to have Thanksgiving with my dad and his wife and his wife's daughter, and my brother and his girlfriend, and we got to meet my sister-in-law's new boyfriend. We had to have lunch with them the next day after Thanksgiving, so it was just a great family time. And my dad actually has a fire pit, so I got to knit outside by firelight, and it was wonderful, and the kids loved roasting marshmallows and stuff over the fire, so that was just a lovely time together. And I'm so excited about just sitting by our little tree and knitting at night, and it's a great time of year. So I hope you guys are all enjoying it as well if you celebrate Christmas. But yeah, let's get into the knitting. So while I was gone, I just brought some socks to work on because I wanted to finish these up. So the first thing I finished were these socks for Lady M, so they'll be kind of a Christmas present. And they are out of Sheep Dreamery, and the colorway is Pop Rocks, and they're just some vanilla socks and with a fish lips kiss heel and a riverbed gusset. So yeah, I was using these little markers to kind of motivate myself each day to see how much I could get done. This is where I was last time. I hadn't finished the first sock that you saw, and then I finished the sock now, so both socks. And then the next thing I finished is so cute, and this is for Aubrey, for her little boy, and I kind of need to get the hem to roll down a little bit, or to lay flat, but this is the Wee Envelope by Isolde Teague, and I did it out of some Three Irish Girls in their sport base, and I don't remember the colorway right now, but it's in my project notes, and these are some adorable little sailboat buttons that I thought went really well with the blue yarn. And once I had this pattern figured out, I really liked knitting it, and I think that I would definitely knit it again because it's such a fun construction. So yeah, that's done, and I can now mail off Aubrey's little package of booties and a little hat and a little sweater, and it's still cold enough, so that'll be great. And that's all done. Those were my finished objects that I had from the 2 weeks, and then I'm going to show you what I worked on the most next. It was living in this Bling Your String Christmas bag, but it has outgrown it, which is fine because it is almost done. It will actually probably be done tonight. But I just have it kind of sitting out on the table, and it is my daughter's dress, and this is the green apple, and the body, or the top part, has these little straps that connect, and you can do it up to where little buttons go over the top. And my daughter has told me that she wants star buttons. So I'm probably gonna have star buttons connecting the straps. And then there are buttons down the back bodice. And so I'm gonna probably just do plain little buttons that I have in my button stash. And the top yarn that I used is another Crafty Girl. And I believe it's in the Snuffle Up, I guess, colorway. I could be wrong about that, but it's in my project notes. And then the body, I didn't have enough to do the entire sweater dress in the another Crafty Girl colorway. And I also thought that with the body being in stockinette, I would not necessarily want to do it in a highly variegated because it might get some crazy pooling, which sometimes I love pooling and sometimes I don't. And I know my daughter doesn't really like it that much, so I wanted something that would just be more cohesive for her. And so I had left over from something I knit her last year, some Knit Pick City tweed. And I believe this is in the Rhubarb colorway. So it's such a great, like, it's out of my stash now. I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. And now it's, you know, all done, and it used up some leftovers. So most of it's actually knit in this. And it's this kind of pink color, which matches up here. Both are pinks, and then it has brown flecks of tweed, which I thought worked well with the top up there. And this has just kind of been sitting on the table ever since it got too big for its bag, and I've been using something I absolutely love. I'm using this so much more than I ever thought I would. I got this at Stitches, Texas, and it is a yarn valet, and it's really cheap, and it's just made of plastic. It's not as nice as like the wooden ones that you see, but for somebody who is on a budget and has kids that might break a nicer one, this is perfect for me. And it's the Yarn Valet. And Knit Picks has a lot of these well, they're not even balls, but kind of cakes that, this one's almost gone, but that are like this. And so what I did was I pulled the Knit Picks label off, and then I opened the hole in the center. It looks like a donut. And then I put that over there, and then you can just pull it off of here. And this has little rubber things on the bottom, so it sits quite nicely, and you don't have to worry about it falling off when you pull it or something. And so it's been really great, and I'm almost done. As you can see, I'm just going to knit till I finish all of this, and then I'm going to do a little garter band on the bottom in the Another Crafty Girl. And I might add, I probably will add pockets in the Another Crafty Girl yarn too, some little garter stitch pockets on the front, because my daughter, you kind of can sell knitwear to her if it has pockets. She's like, okay, I'll wear it. But that was the thing that I worked on a lot this week, because the body of the dress is, I believe the tunic length varies from the dress, but I'm making kind of an in-between length because I don't quite have enough to do the dress length, but I wanted to use all the yarn that I had of the tweed. So it's longer than the tunic, but not quite as long as the dress, but I think that'll be great. And then another work in progress I have is in a House of Yarn bag for my friend Chris. And I hope you're doing, if you see this, Chris, I hope you're doing really well. I've been thinking about you a lot recently. And in here are some mittens. My kids were asking for mittens, and so I thought this would be perfect for my daughter. It is hand spun that I did. I'm knitting with my hand spun. I haven't done that in a while because I've been saving up sweater quantities, but it's hand spun, and it was my first time that I had done chain plying, and it was with a Ren and Ollie bat. And this is what what's left of the cake looks like. It's that. And then there's the little mitten. And when I originally started doing these, or here's the mitten. When I originally started doing these, I was just knitting I just started from the outside at the pink, and I had almost finished the one mitten, and I realized one of the mittens would be predominantly pink, the light pink, and then have a tiny tip of this bright pink on the end, and then the other mitten would be predominantly the bright pink with a little bit of purple on the end. I was like, those aren't gonna match. So I ripped out almost all of the first mitten, and I began to knit this in the section, then knit another color section and another color section so that I can use all of the colors. So I'm about to cut this current purple and go for this lighter lilac shade, and I'll do that for a little bit, and then I'll do the decreases and the thumb in this gray. And both of them will kind of be this way. They won't match exactly because I was thinking later that my OCD brain started thinking like, how could I make this perfect? And I thought, oh, if you had 2 sets of DPNs, you could knit the 2 mittens concurrently, but you could cut off each section. So like cut off the light pink and then start from each end of it and then knit till you get to kind of the middle, like a Lady and the Tramp with the spaghetti noodle, till you kind of get in the middle, and then cut it and then go to the next color and do the same process till you get to the top. But I didn't think of that until it already started again. I didn't want to start the entire project over a 3rd time and have to go out and buy more needles and stuff. So I think this will be, they'll be similar enough, and it'll get to use all the colors of the hand spun, which it's fun using your own hand spun, and I'm glad that this will be a good use for it because she loves this. And I kind of knew when I spun this that it was going to be something for my daughter because those are definitely her colors. And then after I finished those socks for Lady M, I picked up the next socks that I had because I have a couple sock whips. I'm getting them almost all done, which is making me happy, but I have a couple languishing ones. So I picked up my Mina Makes bag that I got, is it last year or two? I think it was last year. And in here is a sock whip that I had. I hadn't quite finished the first one, and now the first one is done. And this is some Biscotte and C. And I don't remember the colorway name. It might be Bon Fête, but I'm not sure. But I love the base. It feels really sturdy but soft, and the colors are very vibrant, and I'm excited to wear these. So the one is done, and then the second one has been started. I did these after I had finished those socks. I just started to work on these on the trip home from Houston. Finished off this one and began this one. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get these done this week and then get on to my next sock whip. So, and I did find I have a skein of Christmas yarn from Cuppy Cake Yarns that I will probably cast on December 1st because I just really have been wanting some fun Christmas yarn. And I figure if I'm getting a ton of sock whips off the needles, then I can cast on a new one, right? But you know, socks they go so fast, and you know, with traveling for holidays and stuff like that, they're just fantastic car knitting. And the last thing I started is something that I am madly in love with. It's in a bag that was given to me by a friend of the podcast, and I love it so much. She gave me 3 wonderful bags, and it's so pretty because it has poinsettias, and then it has, if you can see in the back, it has little like house landscapes of houses in snow. And in here is the Adama cowl, and it is by Hilary Smith Calais, or Callis. And I'm actually wearing one of her other designs that I have knit called the Star Shower, and this is out of another crafty girl. And I wear this so much because I love how it lays very nicely, but since it's a cowl shawl mix hybrid, it's connected in the back, and so you just slip it over your head, and it's wonderful. I also really like it because a lot of shirts for girls have really low V-necks, and I'm shorter, so while I have, I guess, longer legs and a shorter torso, so on a taller person, the low V-necks may be great, but if you're short, then V-necks aren't wonderful. So this can kind of give me a little coverage there, and I can wear my knitwear. So I basically want to knit all of her designs, and this is one that I'd had on my list to knit this year, and like I said, I'm knitting up my queue. I think I have 5 patterns left on my queue that I need to knit this year, or at least start. It's probably going to be a cheater method and start them this year but not finish them. This is one of them, and it is so soft and beautiful. It's like knitting with a cloud. I wanted to almost start to, I'm at the step where you join it to make it into a cowl, and I wanted to connect it, but I thought, no, just wait, because it's easier to show the beautiful pattern when it's not connected as of yet. So there is the pattern. And since this is knit in worsted weight on pretty big needles, it goes very fast. I think this was a couple hours knitting, like 1 or 2 hours one day and then 1 or 2 hours another day. And it has this just beautiful lace. I don't know if you can see, but like a diamond motif going across. And part of the big reason why I'm absolutely loving this pattern is the yarn. I got this yarn for this pattern at the Hill Country Knitting in the Hills retreat in February of this year, which is a local knitting retreat in Texas, pretty close to me. And one of my goals starting out for 2016, I think it's the only goal I'm going to completely fail at, but not too bad, but was to get only buy yarn that was, I could buy yarn for other people, like to knit stuff for other people, whatever, how much ever. But if I was going to buy yarn for something for myself, that it needed to be for a specific project and I needed to knit it up that year. And this is counting towards that goal because it was still early on in the year and I was making the goal work, but around September, October, that goal fell out the window. So the yarn for this is amazing. This is called Woolfolk, and that's what it looks like. It is like knitting with a cloud. I posted a picture of this on Instagram and somebody said, you're never going to want to knit with another worsted weight yarn. And I believe the color, this one is Snow. It's color number 1. So I think it's Snow. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough to finish the cowl. I hope so, but I kind of am just under the yardage the pattern asks for. But I absolutely, when I go to the retreat again sometime, I absolutely want to get more of this yarn and do a whole bunch of neutral cowls because I'm really loving. Just had to pause the podcast for a minute because I'm using my husband's phone to record because it has better quality. And I forgot to put it in airplane mode, and so you're going to be getting calls on the device recording where you're recording the podcast. So I don't remember where I was, but I know that I had this in my hands. I must have been talking about this yarn. But I think I was saying that I'm really finding a love of neutrals because you can just put them, like if I have a couple shirts that are blue or purple, and this will go great on that. And it's just, I really want to next year focus on knitting some very neutral, pretty pieces. Because while I am drawn to the bright colors, I think it's good to also have some of these solid color neutrals in our wardrobe. So that this yarn is amazing. So that's my Adama cowl. There's all the knitting that I have to show from this week. And then I did do some spinning. So I gave this a bath. It's still a tiny bit wet because it's been kind of colder here and stuff doesn't dry as fast when it's cold, but I gave this a bath and it turned out beautifully. So this is some Hello yarn and it is in the pigment colorway, and I got it at a knitting retreat a couple years ago. It was a goodie bag option, and I was so excited to see it because I would never be able to get Hello yarn. Her updates sell out super quickly, and I believe there's like a year or more wait to get her fiber club thing, so there's no way I would be able to get it. But I absolutely love the barber pulling and everything, and this was 100% Falkland. It just turned out beautifully, and I think this will make a great fall kind of hat. And I'm going to kind of undo it from the braid because it is still damp, and I want it to dry, not in a skein because that kind of mess it up. But so I finished that a while ago and had its bath, and then I finished spinning the singles of this, and it is some, oh, I don't remember the name. Fido. I don't remember the name of this one. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But it was in the Figuet colorway. And it's these beautiful, very neutral creams and yellows and bluish purples and some green even. And I'm excited to see. Oh, I forgot to say on the Hello Yarn hand spun, I got just over 300 yards of that, which made me pretty happy. And then this, I hope, will also have good yardage. But this is a merino bamboo blend, I believe. So it turned out very beautifully, and I'm going to ply it this week. And then my goal kind of for the remainder of the year is just kind of ply one braid a week and then spin the singles for one other. So kind of keep myself in the spinning groove, because normally I spin a lot for Tour de Fleece, spin a lot for Spinzilla, and then the rest of the year there's nothing. So I want to kind of make it more of a weekly spinning thing. And that's done. And then there's no enabling this week from me buying. There was Small Business Saturday. I did get something online, but it's not here yet because that was just yesterday. But I do have some enabling for my Etsy shop. And my Etsy shop is Open Skies Yarn. And it's open right now and has a couple things in it, but I'm going to be doing an update pretty soon. I'm going to say Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, I believe. I'm going to be adding some other colorways in there. I have some tweed and some more of the breakfast at Tiffany's color, not breakfast at Tiffany's, that is one of them, but some more of the Audrey Hepburn colorways. And then I dyed up the Winter Skies color. As you guys remember, I did a fall skies or an autumn skies. It had a really pretty blue and it had different colors of the fall leaves. So I did that, and I wanted to every season kind of do a different colorway. And so I got to do something I love, which is look at pictures of snow. We don't get snow here in San Antonio, Texas, or I wouldn't call it snow. You might get a couple flakes in the air sometimes, but it becomes ice. So I got to look at pictures online of snow landscapes, and I saw so many beautiful ones, and it's just such a calming and peaceful thing to me. A lot of my friends that live where there are very harsh winters say I romanticize snow, but I don't someday maybe I'll get the chance to live where there is in a place that has seasons and snow like that. But so this is the Winter Skies color. In the picture that I looked at, there was a lot of white, of course, from the snow. So you see that represented in the skein. And then there were these gorgeous evergreen trees that you can see, like these spruces and different kinds of trees that you would have for your Christmas tree. And then the sky was this bright, icy blue. So it's just so gorgeous. I love this colorway. I think this would make a great hat. I have been trying to think more of doing it as kind of a business thing instead of just this random thing that I'm throwing things up in and dyeing colors of things that I like, to where there will be stuff always in the shop and stuff will be reloaded to where, let's say if you see your friend knitting a certain color and you really like it, you could probably go in the shop and it would be there waiting for you. I'm going to try to kind of have the shop be more like that. And so the Winter Skies will be up in 4 bases. There will be the DK, the Soft Sock, which is a merino nylon blend, a sparkle fingering, which is merino nylon and stellina, and then a BFL nylon base, which is the twist sock, which is great for socks. I think this would be a gorgeous colorway for some vanilla socks, and then you could maybe do a green or a blue heel and toe combination. And so yeah, those will be up in the shop, and they will have, as if you've ordered yarn from me before, you know, they will have a special surprise with them of a themed progress marker, which I love doing that. I think it's really fun and nice when you get your package to have a little extra. And I have some exciting news. I actually applied and got accepted to Vind at my first show. Oh my gosh. I will be at the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival. Open Skies Yarn will be at the Yellow Rose Fiber Festival in April in Seguin, Texas. Thank you to my friend Heidi Undead Yarn, who's kind of helped prompt me to do it and kind of pushed me in the right direction because I was very nervous about it. And I'm excited, but I'm still nervous, and I'm like, how much yarn do you bring to these things? If you're a dyer and have gone to a show before, please tell me how much yarn you bring to a standard show, because I have no idea. I'm afraid that I'm going to get there and have 10 skeins of yarn. I know I need more than 10, but I might have to dye up more yarn than I have in my actual yarn stash, because I don't have a big yarn stash. So it would be funny if my Etsy store had more yarn than my yarn stash did, and I need to kind of get storage and stuff like that. So the Etsy store is now going to be more, I'm going to try to think of it as a business, and I'm going to try to just dye yarn all the time throughout the week and stock it in there and stock it in there. So if you're looking for a color, it will probably be in there. If not, contact me. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for their support, and I absolutely love that you guys love your yarn, and people, when you get your yarn and then you go and you give a star rating on Etsy, I really appreciate that. And I love seeing your comments of people saying how much they loved their yarn or the little extras that I put in there. And thank you to everyone who's favorited the shop and anyone who's bought anything or liked any of the items in the shop. It's just really wonderful and so sweet of you guys. So yeah, Winter Skies, and a special cute progress marker that will go with it. So that is all the enabling stuff that I have, and we have some group news. So there's a group for the podcast on Ravelry called Bookish, or under the tabs, it's BookishStitcher Podcast, and we had a drawing there for the Kid in You thing, and it was for this gorgeous skein of Heavenly Fiber and this wonderful kind of matching bag from Suburban Stitcher. So I thought they went together pretty well. And you can do like single skein, and this is a great bag for a single skein. And so I drew a winner for that, and I have it on my little note card. And the winner was number 70, who is Crouching Cheese. And then we also have going on in the Ravelry group, which I drew another winner for this. It's a year-long use up your scraps, because I know a lot of us knitters have a ton of scraps. And so I have a thread in the Ravelry group where you can show projects you're doing with your scraps, talk about how using up your scraps is going and all that kind of things. And so I just draw randomly, like every 3 or 4 months, a person out of there to win a pattern of their choice for $7 or less, and the winner this time was post number 9. It was one of the very earliest posts from, I think, the first week in January, and that is Yarn Poetry. So Yarn Poetry, when you see this, and Crouching Cheese, when you see this, just write to me and let me know, and I will get your prizes mailed off to you on your pattern Yarn Poetry. So that is all the stuff for the group news. We still have our Sparkle Cowl going on, and there will be some great prizes for that if you want to enter, or you can chat. It's all in one thread. And then, like I said last time I had podcasted, I am doing for 2016, I'm going to be picking a different designer each month and knitting a whole bunch of their patterns that I've always wanted to knit. And my first month for January is going to be Vera Valimaki. And I'm excited to kind of go through my other designers that I've picked out. But I'm going to put a thread up, or maybe I'll probably put a thread up, but also maybe in the episode thread for this episode of the podcast. I would love if you knew, like, if you were going to do a year long of picking a different designer every month, are there designers that you would have to have on your list of 12? Who are those designers? I would just love to find out more designers and kind of get to know the designing community more, and kind of maybe find some new to me designers, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of the designers I'm picking, or I have kind of on my list of hopefuls maybes for next year, are fairly well-known ones, because those are kind of the ones I see all the time. So it would be great to get to know some lesser-known ones. I think that is everything for that. And then for the book, let me take a sip. So it's Christmas time, as I was saying earlier in the podcast, and decorate all around me. I like to do, like during Halloween, I did Halloween books, and during Christmas time, I like to do Christmas books. But I was trying to be more well-rounded about this. So I have one that I'm going to read that is nonfiction. I have another like kind of looking at Christmas from an anthropological kind of perspective, and then I have a couple like cozy, heartwarming stories of Christmas that I'm going to review. So just kind of a mixture across the board of Christmas stuff. And I realize that Christmas is not the only holiday that is occurring at this time of year. It's the one I celebrate, so it's kind of what I'm thinking about. But I know there are lots of other ones. And if you know of a book that you really love, that you've read on Hanukkah or some other holiday to celebrate this time, I would love to know those for next year to add to my list, because I definitely am interested in learning more about other holidays that go on, because I think it's good to know things about everybody around us. And so the first book that I chose for the Christmas holiday, I am not done with, but I'm going to review it anyways and then kind of give an update next week if I change my mind. But this one is called, I'm a little over halfway. It's called Tinsel, and it's a search for America's Christmas present by Hank Stuever. I hope that's showing up okay. I'm trying to aim at this tiny little pinpoint on my husband's phone, but that is the book that I am currently listening to. I got it for an audiobook because we were driving down to Houston and back, like I said, so audiobooks are great because I can knit and listen. This book is not what I thought it would be. So it says a search for America's Christmas present, right? So I knew it would probably be talking about consumerism and how Christmas has become kind of a commercialized thing. I knew that would be on there, but it's more than that and different than that. But so the author of the book is from New York, and he decides to go to a town in Texas that it starts with an F. I can't remember the name of the town in Texas right now. I have two names in my head, and I know one of them is wrong and the other one is right, because I kept correcting myself when I was telling my husband, and now I can't remember which one is right and which is wrong. But I will put that in the show notes probably. And you can look it up on Goodreads or anywhere. But so from New York, and he goes to this town in Texas. And so he could not be more different from the people that he is going to study in almost every way of class and religion and sexuality and everything else. Like he picked polar opposites, which is not the best thing to do if you're, trying to be objective, but he picks somebody polar opposite of him. So he goes down to this place and he just spends time down there with the people, trying to get to know and understand their customs around Christmas. And the town that he picks is kind of one that had recently in 2006, it goes for 3 different years, that had kind of come into some wealth and was kind of a booming shopping town. And it's very Texan, and he said middle class, but I really feel like it was upper class, or at least lower upper class, because I would consider us middle class, and I don't have a big, huge house like they were talking about. I don't hire somebody to come and decorate the interior of my house for Christmas, or to do my Christmas lights and stuff. I don't spend thousands of dollars. That to me is upper class. So I kind of feel like he misrepresented that a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but the book deals with stories of these different families. And there's this one woman who he goes around and talks with, who her job is decorating the interiors of homes for people, and huge houses, and people that don't want to decorate for themselves but want it to look nice for their parties, and just talks about all the money spent for this. And then he talks to one family who has the most decorated house in the city, I guess, and what all goes into that, and wanting to be the best and wanting to have the best. And then he talks to a family who is a single mom who is working to get all this stuff for her kids, and the kids just want, want, want. And it also deals with, a little bit of Christmas and how it came to America and how people kind of looked upon the Victorian culture and kind of decided to bring it over to America, and a whole bunch of history stuff, but not as much history as I would like so far in kind of how the book was presented. And I agree with a lot of this stuff. Some of the stuff he's talking about, that, there are times where it's way too commercialized for Christmas, and it is ridiculous to be like, I want to have the best house and I want everything better than everybody else. It's definitely kind of not in the spirit of Christmas. But he also, at different points in the book, kind of makes judgment on people who really love to help out others during the time, and not in a nice way, which I kind of didn't understand and kind of found kind of disheartening. But so what I would say is this book is not for everybody. It's not for even most people, I would say. But if you don't really like Christmas and you're kind of like anti the whole commercialized thing and stuff like that, or if you would like to get the perspective of somebody from New York, completely polar opposite, coming down to Texas and a wealthy area and seeing how it was like, then I would recommend that you could read it. But I think it's probably not for a lot of people. And I was reading through Goodreads review, and I thought this one review is pretty good. It said that they were glad that they had read it, but that they wish they had read it after Christmas and not during the Christmas time, because it kind of bummed them out and got them like looking at things and like, oh yeah, it made them look at things kind of in a more cynical light. And so maybe read it after Christmas, and maybe only read it or listen to it if you're not down for the whole Christmas thing, which there are people that aren't. So it's called Tinsel, and it is by Hank Stuver. And of course you can see on the cover a very decorated lawn. And yeah, it's an interesting look at kind of, I guess he calls himself like an anthropologist, but it's definitely kind of a jaded, one side, almost a little bit bitter view of Christmas. And I do know people that could have been in this book that, want their Christmases to be bigger and better, and their kids get so many presents that they kind of glaze over their eyes even opening them, because it's just like, what's the 50th? I don't know that they're getting 50, but like it's so many presents that the joy is kind of lost. But to each their own, I guess. And yeah, so I was trying to read a wide variety of Christmas books, so I don't know if I would, I'm not sure if I would recommend it, but I wanted to, say that, review it on the podcast just in case you're looking for a study of Christmas, and in case I don't like Christmas and you want to read a book about somebody that agrees with you. But yeah, so that's all I have for this week. And I'm going to go and not be anti-Christmas, because I really like Christmas and I really love this season of giving to others. And I love, the get your yarn wish granted and kind of random gifting patterns and everything like that. I really love this time of year, and I think that, it's good to give. And I don't think it's all about retail or commercialism. You can be, but it doesn't have to be. So I don't know. It's my positive, happy Christmas thing to kind of counteract the horrible review I just gave of the book, that the Scrooge book on Christmas. But yeah, that's all I have for this week. Until next time, I hope you guys have a lovely week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.